Everyone knows the star-studded Nets can score. And everyone knows what their glaring weakness is.
Notion that they're just going to go out and outscore people and win the championship, I don't believe you can do that.
The question is whether the former can outweigh the latter, and the Nets can shoot themselves to a title. The answer is yes. Because while defense does matter, we've never seen a big three quite like Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. I understand your defensive concerns. The Nets own a bottom 5 defense, and since the NBA expanded to 30 teams 16 years ago, every eventual champion has entered the playoffs with at least a top 11 D. But while the old adage goes that defense wins championships, the truth is that the most indispensable skill to survive in the NBA playoffs is shot creation. If you want to win big in the playoffs and contend for the only prize that matters, you need at least one star-level shot creator, and preferably multiple stars who can create and make their own shot against tight postseason defenses that value every possession. The Nets have 3 guys who can do that at historic levels. If you look at the 60 players who've used the most isolation possessions this season, Brooklyn's 3 stars rank 1st, 4th, and 7th in efficiency.
Oh, that's good.
As a team, the Nets' 1.15 points per possession in isolation makes them the most efficient ISO team in NBA.com's 6-year database. Some of you are probably rolling your eyes at the mere mention of ISO ball. Yes, stagnant offense has its obvious drawbacks, but there's a reason almost every coach on the planet puts the ball in his best player's hands and goes ISO in the clutch. You get a great player a decent look, at worst, while decreasing the possibility of a turnover. And wouldn't you know it, the Nets own the league's 2nd best record in NBA-defined clutch games since trading for Harden. This also isn't just your usual trio of ISO stars. Durant, Harden, and Irving can score in isolation at levels even some of the game's greatest players ever can only dream of. And each of the 3 can do so much more. Kyrie's got the best handle in the game, and when it comes to the combination of handling and shooting, only Steph Curry is better. Sure, Kyrie could certainly be better as an off-ball threat, but it's possible we'll see that come playoff time. Harden might be the best true point guard in basketball.
You don't say.
Everyone marvels at the Beard's prolific scoring ability and chastises his foul bait. But since Mike D'Antoni first arrived in Houston 5 years ago and named Harden his points guard, only Russell Westbrook has racked up more assists. And no player has been responsible for creating more points between their individual scoring and assists than Harden has over that half-decade. Oh yeah, and he's leading the league in assists again this year, just going about his business creating the best looks for his teammates from the best spots on the floor.
I just looked at him and I said, you're the point guard, and I'm going to play shooting guard. And that was as simple as that.
Durant is the do-it-all unicorn of the bunch. A once-in-a-lifetime combination of length, shooting, and ball handling makes KD virtually unguardable. He can get his shot off over and against anyone, and at that point, defenses just have to hope he misses. Although Durant's most invaluable skill on this particular team might be his underrated defense and his ability to play as a versatile defensive big man. Brooklyn's most used small ball lineup, which sees Durant and Jeff Green anchoring the D behind Harden, Irving, and Joe Harris, has outscored opponents by more than 17 points per 100 possessions, while boasting a defensive rating that would rank top 5 league-wide. That type of defensive success, albeit in smaller sample sizes, is a reminder that Brooklyn's defense isn't as bad as it seems. Even Harden and Kyrie can defend when they want to. Irving has dialed it up on the perimeter in postseasons past.
He gets away from Irving. Pass inside, stolen by Irving. Throws it ahead to Smith. Smith, alley-oop to James!
While Harden's strength makes him one of the league's best post defenders and most capable guards when it comes to guarding against switches. The Nets are also a solidly middle-of-the-pack defensive rebounding team since the Harden trade. So this assumption that they can't close defensive possessions with a board is just that, an assumption.
Well, I guess I just assumed.
Now here's the rub. Between Spencer Dinwiddie's season-ending knee injury and what Brooklyn gave up to acquire Harden, the Nets don't have the depth or overall defensive upside they did coming into the season. But there's still a lot more to this team than meets the eye. Joe Harris is having quite possibly the best shooting season in NBA history. Imagine being an opposing team, having to account for a guy who drills threes like they're layups while giving 3 legitimate superstars the defensive attention they demand. It's impossible. Blake Griffin isn't the high-flying dynamo he once was, but at worst, he provides yet another playmaker for guys like Harris and can be a spot-up threat himself. Green is giving the Nets solid minutes as a small ball 5 on the defensive end while knocking down more than 42% of his three-point attempts on the offensive end. Bruce Brown has been turned loose into some sort of positionless offensive player who cuts and shoots his way into easy points while the defense is distracted by Brooklyn's stars.
He just kind of roams around and finds spots against opposing defenses.
Yeah, he'll roll, he'll cut like he did right there.
2019 second-round pick Nick Claxton has emerged as a rotation-caliber talent who gives the Nets more switchability on D. And DeAndre Jordan still has his utility as a big body in the paint and one who can clean the glass. Nets can still shore up their rotation by picking up another big man who does some of the dirty work Griffin can't do. But contrary to popular belief, this team doesn't have to make a move to address their front court depth, their defense, or their rebounding. In another season with no clear super team or overwhelming favorite, and especially in an Eastern Conference where every contender has its flaws, give me the team with 3 superstars and an unprecedented amount of shot creation. Philly and Milwaukee can milk Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo inside against the Nets. But are Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris or Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday really gonna bring the Sixers or Bucks home down the stretch against Brooklyn? Boston has 3 shot-creating stars of its own, but the Celtics' best player might be the 4th best player in a series against the Nets. Miami and Toronto have the defensive versatility to at least trouble the Big Three, but neither of the Heat or Raptors will be able to keep up with Brooklyn offensively over a 7-game series. The Nets have their own warts, but the luxury of having Durant, Harden, and Irving means they also have the largest margin for error, and the best shot of any team of being able to take down the defending champion Lakers. So you can keep going on about what the Nets can or can't do on the defensive end. I'll just be over here penciling the Nets into the finals already. See you in July. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button.